The latest scandal shaking the British royal family has ignited a media storm across the globe, and this time, the spotlight once again falls on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. But what's causing the uproar isn't another interview or a Netflix documentary. It's something far more explosive, a series of bold accusations from royal commentator Angela Levin, who suggests that the legitimacy of Archie and Lilibet's royal lineage may now be under question. According to Levin, there are strange inconsistencies surrounding the timing, paperwork, and even the ceremonial details of the children's births. These seemingly minor discrepancies, when pieced together, form a deeply unsettling picture. Could Harry and Meghan be hiding something behind their carefully curated image of perfection? This is no longer a matter of personal privacy. It's an issue that touches the very core of royal succession and the honor of the British monarchy, a topic powerful enough to shake the public's faith in the institution itself. Angela Levin, who has interviewed and written biographies about several members of the royal family, is not known for spreading baseless gossip. She's famous for her sharp commentary and her willingness to probe the monarchy's most taboo subjects. So when Levin speaks, the nation listens and divides. Some accuse her of attacking Meghan yet again, while others insist that it's finally time the truth came out. Now, all eyes turn to a single haunting question. Are Harry and Meghan's children truly legitimate members of the Windsor bloodline? When Angela Levin appeared on live television and openly questioned the legal legitimacy of the Sussex children, Britain seemed to hold its breath. She declared, if Meghan did not give birth herself, or if Prince Harry is not the biological father, then Archie and Lilibet cannot be considered legitimate members of the royal family. One short sentence, yet powerful enough to shake the centuries-old foundation of trust and continuity the monarchy has tried so hard to preserve. Under royal tradition, bloodline is more than biology. It is a sacred bond linking the crown and its heirs, the symbol of legitimacy ensuring that only those of Windsor descent have the right to inherit titles, ranks, and positions in the royal line of succession. Every royal birth is meticulously documented, the hospital and the witnesses, the religious rites, leaving no room for ambiguity. That's why Levin's insinuation that Meghan may not have carried Archie or Lilibet herself, perhaps faking her pregnancy or using a surrogate, sent shockwaves through Britain. She also pointed out the couple's extreme secrecy surrounding the births, refusing media access to the hospital, withholding the doctor's name, and denying post-delivery photos, all of which made the situation even more suspicious. Levin offered no concrete evidence, but her tone, honed by decades as a seasoned royal insider, suggested she might know more than she's saying. What makes Levin's statement so serious is her long-standing credibility within royal circles. She has interviewed Prince Harry during his military service, written biographies on Prince Charles and Prince William, and maintained close ties with Buckingham Palace sources. In other words, she's no tabloid opportunist. She's a journalist once trusted to chronicle the monarchy's official story, which is why her public doubts about the Sussex children's bloodline have transformed a rumor into a national controversy. Within hours of her broadcast, social media erupted. Twitter and online forums were flooded with fierce debates. One side branded Angela Levin a hate monger, accusing her of targeting Meghan, a woman already subjected to years of media hostility. The other side countered that, if there truly were irregularities in Meghan's pregnancies, the public deserved transparency. After all, Prince Harry, though no longer a working royal, remains the king's son and the father of two children who still hold royal titles. Major newspapers such as the Daily Mail, the Telegraph, and the Times quickly picked up the story, each from its own angle. Some royal reporters called it the most dangerous royal scandal since Diana, because it touches the most forbidden subject of all, the purity of the royal bloodline. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan's supporters fired back, accusing Levin of exploiting her platform to stir scandal and sell books. But whatever her motive, Levin had succeeded in detonating a media firestorm. Buckingham Palace remained silent, a silence that only fueled more speculation. If the claims were entirely false, why not deny them outright? And if there was any truth to them, could the palace be quietly managing the fallout before it spread further? These questions hovered over every headline, holding the public in suspense. In the days following the broadcast, Angela Levin trended globally. Millions revisited old clips, Meghan's mysteriously vanishing baby bump, the complete lack of hospital photos of Lilibet's birth in the U.S. Every fragment was dissected, exaggerated, and reinterpreted. It felt as though the entire world had joined an unofficial investigation into the most sacred mystery of all, the royal blood itself. But there's one question very few people dare to ask. What made Angela Levin bold enough to voice such explosive allegations live on air? A move that could destroy her entire career if proven false. Could it be that she holds information the public hasn't yet seen? Or is this part of a deeper, silent war between those who once served the crown and those who dared to walk away from it? Angela Levin didn't stop at questioning the royal bloodline of Archie and Lilibet. In a follow-up television appearance, she dropped an even more shocking revelation. Prince Harry, she claimed, is quietly pursuing a secret legal case, targeting individuals and organizations, digging into his past. According to Levin, this is a desperate attempt to control the narrative and, at a deeper level, an effort to conceal uncomfortable truths about Harry himself. Levin described this lawsuit as being conducted under absolute secrecy. No press releases, no lawyer statements, no public court records. Only a handful of royal correspondents were even aware of it, and they said Harry is using special legal provisions to conceal the identities of those involved. One insider quoted by Levin revealed, Harry wants to end all discussion about whether Meghan gave birth herself and about the doubts surrounding Archie and Lilibet. He believes only the courts can silence them. To Levin, this lawsuit is not just a defensive reaction, it's a manifestation of fear. Since stepping away from royal duties, Harry and Meghan have worked hard to build the image of victims of the press, yet they've also remained in the spotlight through Netflix deals, podcasts, and a memoir. They want to tell their version of the truth, but when others tell a different version, they try to shut them down. Levin calls it the paradox of image control. When you try too hard to define yourself, you risk being redefined by others. In Levin's eyes, this secret legal action is a desperate attempt to reclaim control Harry has already lost. She remarked pointedly, a man confident in his truth doesn't need a courtroom to defend it. He lets the public decide, but Harry, he's afraid of something. And sure enough, as news of the alleged lawsuit spread, public debate exploded across Britain. Some argued that Harry was right to take action. They believed that questioning a child's parentage is cruel, invasive, and potentially damaging to young children. To them, Harry's decision to use legal means was an understandable act of protection for his family. But many others, perhaps the majority, saw it as a sign of panic. The man once admired as a down-to-earth soldier, beloved for his candor and courage, now seemed unrecognizable. To them, he appeared as someone trying to smother every opposing voice rather than face scrutiny. One comment in the Telegraph captured the mood. If you have nothing to hide, why hide the case itself? It's the secrecy that fuels the suspicion. Tensions rose further when several independent journalists claimed they had received legal warning letters from Harry's team. Certain social media accounts vanished overnight. Older articles discussing the surrogacy theory disappeared without explanation. These developments fed the growing belief that this was no isolated lawsuit, but part of a larger systematic effort to control information and protect the Sussex brand. In another interview, Angela Levin made a statement that struck a chord across the country. Harry isn't just protecting his children, he's protecting his memory, and perhaps the parts of his past he can't face. Her words left audiences wondering, in that unearthed past because Levin alluded to, what secret could be so grave that it drives Harry to such extremes? The more he hides, the more the public wants to know. The quieter he stays, the louder the rumors grow. That is the paradox of modern media. A secret lawsuit doesn't make people forget. It makes them obsess over what's being hidden. And as all eyes turn to the Sussexes once again, a haunting question lingers in the air. Why has a prince once celebrated for his freedom and bravery chosen to act like a man in flight? Has he done something the royal family can never forgive? Something that shatters the very traditions of the Windsor bloodline? For centuries, the British royal family has upheld a strict and time-honored tradition when it comes to announcing and verifying the birth of new members. Each time a royal baby is born, every detail, from the place of birth and the attending physician to the exact moment of delivery, is carefully recorded and made public, not merely as a gesture of celebration, but as a guarantee of legitimacy and a reaffirmation of public trust in the royal line of succession. By custom, when a royal woman goes into labor, Buckingham Palace issues an official statement, traditionally beginning with the words, "Her Royal Highness has safely delivered." That announcement is then displayed in a gilded frame outside the palace gates, bearing the signatures of the royal doctors who confirm the health of both mother and child. Hours later, or at most, within a day, photographers are invited to capture the baby's first appearance, cradled in the arms of the proud parents. It is more than a photo opportunity. It's a symbolic covenant between the monarchy and its people, a visible assurance that the child truly exists, is healthy, and carries royal blood. But when it came to Harry and Meghan, everything changed. During Meghan's pregnancy with Archie, the couple declared their intention to keep the birth private. There was no hospital admission announcement, no mention of royal physicians, and, most notably, the traditional medical bulletin, a long-standing requirement, was missing entirely. The media were only informed hours after Archie's birth, with no clear confirmation of where it had taken place. Some reports claimed he was born at Portland Hospital in London, but the hospital offered no statement, and the royal medical staff maintained complete silence. When the public eagerly awaited the first photos of the baby, Harry and Meghan broke with tradition again. Instead of greeting photographers outside the hospital, they staged a private photo session in St. George's Hall at Windsor, 2 days after the birth. The image was distributed through media channels controlled by the couple, with no independent press present. What had once been the window of Britain, a shared national moment, had been turned into a carefully managed production. At first glance, these choices might seem like personal preferences, but to many in Britain, they represented a direct breach of royal protocol, even a challenge to the transparency of the monarchy itself. Some royal experts described it as a severing of the Windsor legacy. Their argument was simple. Once you hold the titles of Duke and Duchess, the birth of your children is no longer purely private. It becomes a matter of public record, tied to the national institution and the line of succession. The situation grew even murkier with the birth of their second child, Lilibet. This time, the couple was completely detached from all royal procedure. No one knew where Meghan gave birth, at what time, or under whose care. There were no hospital photos, no official palace statements, no certified medical bulletins, nothing. Only a brief press release from the Sussex's own media team, sent to American outlets, confirming that Meghan has given birth to a healthy baby girl. For many Britons, that was the breaking point. Newspapers such as the Daily Mail and The Sun demanded answers. Why does every other royal follow the rules except them? The question soon evolved into suspicion. Was there something being hidden about these two births? That lack of transparency only fueled the allegations raised by Angela Levin, who claimed Meghan may not have given birth herself. Public opinion quickly split into two camps. Meghan's supporters insisted she had every right to privacy, that childbirth is an intimate matter, and no institution, not even the monarchy, should force a woman to put it on display. But critics countered that privacy cannot coexist with royal privilege. If one enjoys a royal title, taxpayer-funded security, and all the privileges of state, one must also accept the obligation of transparency, including the formal verification of a royal birth. What deepened the controversy was Buckingham Palace's silence. No confirmations, no denials. Just an eerie quiet from an institution known for its iron grip on public messaging. Many commentators argued that this silence poured fuel on the fire, leaving the public with the uneasy feeling that something was being concealed. From that moment on, the phrase breaking royal tradition became inseparable from the names Harry and Meghan. Their refusal to follow the centuries-old customs surrounding royal births didn't just reshape how the public saw them. It rattled the very foundation of trust and transparency upon which the British monarchy's image depends. And it was from those very gaps that the controversy over Archie and Lilibet's legitimacy began to spread, unleashing a storm the British monarchy hadn't faced in decades. The doubts surrounding the children's legitimacy ignited a wave of public reaction unlike anything seen before. Within hours of Angela Levin's explosive claims, social media across Britain and the US erupted. Hashtags like #RoyalScandal, #Archie Mystery, and #MeghanGate shot straight to the top of the trending charts, amassing millions of comments. Twitter flooded with sarcastic posts, analysis videos, and memes mocking Meghan for allegedly wearing a fake baby bump. Some users even compiled side-by-side comparisons of Meghan's public appearances, examining the shape of her belly frame by frame to prove something wasn't right. The online atmosphere felt like a virtual courtroom, and everyone had a verdict to deliver. On TikTok, dozens of new accounts sprang up solely to investigate the Meghan case, each drawing millions of views. One viral video comparing Meghan walking up palace steps while pregnant to another clip of her bending down to pick up flowers, where her belly appeared to fold, was shared over 3 million times. In the comments, users were split into two camps, one declaring people are blind to the truth, and the other dismissing it as a sick conspiracy theory. That polarization turned what began as a rumor into a full-blown cultural war, a clash of belief, perception, and morality. Late-night shows quickly joined in. On The Late Show, Stephen Colbert quipped, "We used to have Diana hunted by paparazzi. Now we have Meghan dissected by the internet. Seems the royal family never gets a break." Meanwhile, in the UK, the Graham Norton Show ran a mock segment featuring imaginary royal babies, leaving audiences in hysterics, but also reflecting the biting satire now aimed at Harry and Meghan. What began as gossip soon dominated front-page headlines. Radar Online was the first to publish a shocking headline. If the allegations are true, this would be the greatest constitutional crisis in modern royal history. The article explained that if Archie and Lilibet were not of Windsor blood, the entire royal line of succession could be called into question, potentially collapsing public faith in the monarchy itself. The Daily Mail framed it as a moral issue, asking, why do Harry and Meghan preach truth while avoiding transparency? Meanwhile, the Times and the Telegraph ran in-depth editorials, warning that this was no longer a tabloid story. It was a challenge to the very foundation of the British monarchy. The media frenzy triggered a chain reaction. Every headline, every comment, every online debate seemed to add more fuel to the fire. While many accused Angela Levin of going too far, others began to seriously question Harry and Meghan's credibility. They recalled how the couple had once proclaimed, "We choose transparency," yet consistently withheld crucial details, from birth logistics and photo releases to the timing of official registrations. The skepticism deepens as television commentators echoed the same point. If they have nothing to hide, why defy every royal tradition that has stood for centuries? An Australian paper went further, calling it the tragedy of storytellers who are no longer believed. Indeed, Harry and Meghan's public image, once built on authenticity, bravery, and openness, now seemed to crumble under the weight of its own contradictions. The story didn't stop at Britain's borders. American, Canadian, and European outlets all joined the chorus with headlines like, "The British monarchy faces a crisis of trust." On YouTube, royal commentary channels gained millions of views overnight. Constitutional law experts were invited on television to discuss hypothetical scenarios. If these claims were ever proven, what would happen to the line of succession? What had begun as whispers about a private matter had evolved into something far greater, a constitutional and political storm questioning not just two people, but the very legitimacy of the crown itself. But what stood out most was that public outrage was no longer directed solely at Meghan. This time, Prince Harry himself became the main target. Many felt he had lost his identity. Once a beloved soldier, now a man consumed by media pressure and an obsession with control. Online comments questioned bluntly, is he protecting his family or protecting a secret? What began as curiosity had now turned into a full-blown crisis of trust. The debates, memes, and opinion pieces were no longer just dissecting Meghan. They were challenging the honesty of the entire royal system. As one commentator put it, if the monarchy is built on trust, this scandal is the earthquake cracking its foundation. And in the middle of that storm, Harry and Meghan, no matter how silent they tried to remain, couldn't escape the vortex of suspicion. The public no longer saw them as victims, but as players dangerously toying with the flames of their own story. As skepticism spread across social media, Prince Harry, once seen as the image of calm confidence, reacted in a way that stunned everyone. Instead of appearing publicly to offer clarity or evidence, he went on the offensive, sending a wave of cease and desist letters to journalists, YouTubers, and social media accounts discussing the controversy. Those letters were said to be written in a tone of anger and intimidation. According to The Telegraph, some even warned that if recipients continued spreading misinformation about the Sussex family, they would face serious legal consequences. The move led many to believe Harry was spiraling, acting on emotion rather than strategy. In the public eye, he no longer looked like a man defending his loved ones, but a prince panicking to prevent something from being exposed. The media pounced. Outlets like the Daily Mail and the Express, already critical of Harry, called it a desperate act, while The Guardian observed, every letter Harry sends only makes the story spread further. And that's exactly what happened. The more he threatened, the more curious people became. YouTubers and bloggers who received those warnings began posting detailed videos describing the letters, giving audiences even more reason to believe Harry was hiding something uncomfortable. Soon, the hashtag Prince Panic began trending across platforms. Memes flooded the internet, portraying Harry as a man trying to silence the world with legal envelopes. One viral comment read, "If he has nothing to hide, why act like a guilty man?" Within days, the image of Harry, once tied to courage and honesty, had shifted into a symbol of fear and overreaction. The situation worsened when reports emerged of chaos within Harry's own team. According to Radar Online, his legal advisors and PR staff were deeply divided. One camp urged silence, warning that a small problem could turn into a full-blown media crisis. The other pushed for an emotional counter-campaign, portraying Harry as a wounded father defending his family's honor. In the end, neither plan fully materialized. An insider described the chaos bluntly. It's like a ship drifting without a captain. Each day brought conflicting headlines, one claiming Harry was suing multiple YouTube channels, another insisting his lawyers denied it. The harder his team tried to control the narrative, the more disorganized they appeared. Even longtime supporters of the Sussexes began admitting that the couple was losing their grip on media strategy, the very skill that had once been their greatest asset since leaving the royal family. Angela Levin, the woman who started the entire storm, spoke up again. Harry's reaction only proves I struck the nerve he fears most. Innocent people don't need to silence others. The quote went viral, shared millions of times, cutting even deeper into the prince's already damaged public image. Media analysts agreed that Harry's legal tactics had backfired completely. Every cease and desist letter became public proof that he was feeling threatened. And once the public senses fear, they assume one thing: where there's smoke, there's fire. Instead of extinguishing the rumors, Harry had unwittingly fanned the flames of doubt higher than ever. A BBC commentator put it bluntly, Harry is fighting the internet, and that's a battle he can't win. Indeed, in the age of social media, no one can silence millions of voices. Every attempt to shut down the conversation only makes the story spread wider, travel faster, and grow more vivid in the hands of the online masses. In the end, Harry's actions didn't defend his honor. They destroyed what was left of his public image. Gone was the steady, disciplined soldier Britain once admired. In his place stood a man cornered, disoriented, reacting on impulse rather than reason. Ironically, Harry's desperate attempt to control the narrative only proved how little control he had left. Instead of regaining trust, he reinforced what many had suspected all along, that perhaps he really was hiding something. And just as the debate over Archie and Lilibet's legitimacy reached its peak, something strange happened. Meghan Markle vanished. No posts on Archwell. No public appearances. No statements addressing the accusations threatening to shatter her reputation. While Harry scrambled, firing off legal warnings, threatening lawsuits, and plunging the situation deeper into chaos, Meghan chose absolute silence. Her disappearance quickly became the new obsession. Meghan, once the mastermind behind every frame, every headline, every calculated public move, had suddenly gone dark in the middle of the storm. Observers believed this wasn't retreat, but strategy. Meghan knew that every time she spoke, the media exploded. She'd been accused of manipulating Harry, of weaponizing the press against the royal family, of turning personal pain into a brand. Now, by stepping back and letting Harry take the heat, she was executing a calculated image trade, a survival move. PR experts call on her silence the smartest defensive act she could make. Had she spoken up, every eye would have turned on her again, the woman long accused of orchestrating the rebellion against the monarchy. But by vanishing, she avoided direct blame while subtly positioning herself as someone who might later reappear, calm and wounded, as the wronged woman. Her silence became even more striking given her history. For years, Meghan controlled every piece of the Sussex media machine, from Netflix deals to the Archetypes podcast, from the Oprah interview to the crafting of her misunderstood woman image. Harry had always been the quieter one, Meghan the strategist, but this time their roles flipped. Harry was the one reacting, emotional, erratic, exposed. Meghan was silent, cold, calculating, deliberate. That reversal fueled new speculation that something inside the Sussex partnership was cracking. Analysts pointed out that the couple's media strategy had always been unified. Until now, their sudden divergence hinted at deeper fractures behind the polished facade. Online, Meghan's disappearance turned into a meme phenomenon. Posts read, "Someone's check if Meghan's still in California," or "The Queen of PR has gone off air." One viral comment summed up the public mood. Harry's burning, and Meghan's watching from a distance. Loyal fans defended her, saying she was staying calm to protect her family. But to most observers, her silence felt strategic and chillingly detached. As debates raged, the once unbreakable image of the couple who stood united against the world began to fracture. Harry now appeared lost, frantic, and defensive. Meghan, in contrast, seemed controlled and tactical, knowing exactly when to disappear and when to wait. To the public, they no longer looked like a team, but two individuals fighting separate battles for self-preservation. And then came the question everyone whispered. Was Meghan's silence simply self-defense? Or the first move in something far more deliberate? Because, according to Levin, behind that silence may lie a sophisticated legal trap, one only Meghan is clever enough to avoid. But is her silence part of a larger game? Let's see how Levin's legal trap was set. Levin is not just a sharp royal commentator. She's someone who understands the rules of both media and law. When she suggested that Archie and Lilibet might not carry true royal blood, it wasn't a reckless statement. Her deliberate the choice of words, the timing, and the platform revealed a meticulously calculated strategy, a kind of legal trap set in plain sight. She never stated anything as fact, yet she never denied the possibility either. Her phrasing lived in the gray zone, provocative enough to shock the public, but cautious enough to avoid a defamation lawsuit. By speaking live on television, before millions of viewers, Levin forced Harry into a perfect dilemma. If he stayed silent, it could be read as an admission that something was amiss. If he reacted or sued, he'd face an even greater risk, being compelled to disclose private medical records, birth certificates, and documents related to his children. That was the brilliance of Levin's trap. She knew Harry's temperament, impulsive, emotional, often reactive. All she had to do was provoke him into striking back. If he brought the matter to court, the secrets he had worked so hard to protect could end up being revealed, not by Levin, but by the legal process itself, which demands transparency. Once the case entered the courtroom, medical details, witnesses, and official documentation could all become public record. And at that point, Harry would lose control of his own narrative entirely. Legal experts in Britain quickly caught on. A royal lawyer quoted anonymously by the Daily Mail put it bluntly, "If Harry sues Angela Levin, he'll be shooting himself in the foot." Such a lawsuit would open doors he'd spent years trying to keep closed, not only to the media, but to history itself. British courts, when handling cases involving royal members, make no exception in requiring proof. And that's where Levin's genius lies. She didn't need to win with evidence, she only needed to win through reaction. She trapped Harry in a no-win scenario. By merely asking questions, she positioned herself as the provocateur. By reacting, he confirmed her power over the story. Every step Harry took, every warning letter, every PR misstep, became further proof that he was rattled, fearful, and possibly hiding something. Levin understood this psychology, and she weaponized it. She didn't need to prove anything concrete. Harry's panic did that for her. But the implications of her trap extend far beyond personal rivalry. They strike at the foundation of the British monarchy itself, an institution built on honor, legitimacy, and lineage. At first glance, Levin's accusations might appear to be about private family matters. In truth, they threaten one of the most sensitive constitutional principles in modern Britain. In a constitutional monarchy, the legitimacy of royal bloodlines isn't just symbolic, it's structural. It underpins the entire system of succession, inheritance, and national identity. Under British law and royal tradition, the right to inherit the throne depends on verified, lawful descent. Every person in the line of succession must be the legitimate child of someone within the royal bloodline. That's why every royal birth, whether of a prince or princess, must be formally witnessed, documented, and certified. Any doubt over parentage could nullify titles, revoke ranks, and remove individuals from the royal succession entirely. So when Angela Levin posed the question, do Archie and Lilibet truly carry Windsor blood? She wasn't just intruding into Harry and Meghan's private lives. She was touching the constitutional heart of the United Kingdom. Throughout history, the royal family has maintained strict ceremonial safeguards precisely to prevent such doubts. Public birth announcements, medical bulletins signed by royal physicians, and official photos of the mother and child following delivery. These traditions, often dismissed as mere formality, are in fact the monarchy's transparency shield, the visible proof of legitimacy that sustains public trust. By breaking all of these conventions, refusing royal doctors, hiding the place of birth, withholding medical statements, and avoiding public presentation, Harry and Meghan undermine that shield. And for constitutional scholars, this was more than a breach of protocol, it was a warning sign. Because if the monarchy allows such exceptions, it risks creating a dangerous precedent, one where trust erodes, and future generations may ask the unthinkable question, who can truly prove they are royal if the evidence no longer exists? Several observers in London now believe this is no longer a media scandal. It's a question of the monarchy's stability itself. A constitutional law professor at King's College commented, "Once the public begins to doubt the legitimacy of someone who bears a royal title, the symbolic power of the crown begins to crumble." And indeed, these doubts no longer threaten just the personal image of Harry and Meghan. They place King Charles under mounting pressure to preserve faith in the very institution he represents. At this point, every move Harry and Meghan and Meghan make, whether reacting, remaining silent, or pursuing legal action, carries political weight. They are no longer defending private honor. They are entangled in a game that could reshape the standing of the British monarchy itself. The implications are clear. What once seemed like a private drama has evolved into a potential constitutional earthquake. The scandal surrounding Harry and Meghan is no longer a story of personal conflict. From Angela Levin's shocking allegations about the legitimacy of Archie and Lilibet, to the rumored secret lawsuit Harry is said to be waging to silence the press, every detail connects into a chain of crises unprecedented in modern royal history. It all began with their decision to break royal birth traditions, concealing the place of birth, withholding the medical bulletin, and refusing a public appearance. What seemed like a minor act of privacy became a direct challenge to centuries of royal custom. That lack of transparency opened the floodgates to public suspicion, fueling a hunger for information that spiraled beyond control. When Harry lashed out with legal threats and emotional reactions, while Meghan maintained strategic silence, the image of the united couple completely collapsed. Amid the chaos, Angela Levin stood calmly on the opposite side, poised, strategic, and always one step ahead. She used language as her weapon, crafting her words to provoke and to corner Harry into a legal trap. Stay silent and you look guilty. React and you risk exposing the truth yourself. Now, this controversy threatens far more than two reputations. It casts a shadow over the credibility and stability of the entire British monarchy. Can Harry and Meghan ever regain the public's trust? Or has the damage already gone too far? Angela Levin has warned, this is only the beginning. So what comes next for the Duke and Duchess? Redemption or reckoning? Stay tuned and share your thoughts below. Thoughts below. Thoughts below. Thoughts below. Thoughts below.